Right, we've got 2011 Land Rover Freelander SDI. Is it SDI or SD? It's the 190 brake horse model, and we've got the infamous problem with the starting, where you press the button, it just clicks, and it doesn't crank the engine over. So we're going to attempt to try and resolve that with solenoid. It's not a hack. It's like a recondition, or it's like an upgrade on the solenoid system. So we're going to take the starter motor out. So to do that, we're going to remove the air induction system and get a bit of space, and I believe the starter motor to be down the bottom down there. So I'll whip this off first and I'll come back to you. Right, we've taken the airbox off, which was 4 torque screws around. Take the lid off, take the air foam filter out of there, cartridge, and then that box section will just pull straight out. It's on plugs. You see the rubber plugs there, the rubber plugs still on the bottom of the airbox. Got another one there as well, so just lift that straight up, wiggle it, and it'll come out. Undone the hose there, jubilee clips there, jubilee clips there, and you got holding the top down, there's the plastic cover, there's 2 8mm bolts, and then there's a stud on the back which was 10mm, but that'll probably come off with the cover anyway. And what I did, which was really awkward, I could be wrong, but I took out the cooling fans on the front here, and you got 2 like clips. You just push them in and then lift it up. No, sorry, you pull the tab out a little bit, you can see it just there. So you just put a little screwdriver behind it, or just pull out your fingers, make sure it's not too cold, so it will snap. It could be very brittle, but a little screwdriver behind, just ease it out a little bit, that'll pull straight up. You got the same on the other side as well, and you got loads of these little metal clips, like speed clips. They're clipped onto the housing, so just prise them off with a screwdriver carefully. You got the fan connection, which you say just squeeze that and that'll pull off quite easily on there. But the hard bit, as I say, you've got these what are they? I think they're gearbox coolant pipes or oil cooler pipes. They run round there to the radiator, and they're real rigid. They've got a metal pipe there. It could be air conditioning pipes, whatever they are anyway. But probably best, as I say, get a cable tie around there, big one, around that bracket, because that's going to be a pain, and that's going to stop you getting it back far enough to get it out. And it is really, really tight. So you probably best, if you can, say if you can get a hairdryer in the cold weather, heat that pipe up a little bit, make it a bit more softer, and then cable tie that round to the bracket. And there's one underneath as well you can cable tie, and that will make it a hell of a lot easier. Then once that's out, you just pull it out and just shake it, and it will lift out. And there's the actual unit there, and you've got 4 tabs in there, top and bottom. So you put the bottom 2 in first, reverse order, and then you slot them in, and then you lift the front up, and then it should just slot in and slot over the top. But we've got that fun and games to come, and that now should give us good enough entry to get to the starter. So I'm going to disconnect the battery first, and then take off the cables and undo the bolts on the starter. I don't know what they are yet because I haven't seen them, so I'll come back to you in a minute and tell you what sizes they are. Right, got the 3 bolts off. They're 13mm, and one of them's on a cable bracket as well, which is down under there. So you probably want to take this hose off. It'd be a lot easier if you could just take that off there, get it out of the way, pull it back, and then you can get to these 30mm bolts. They're quite easy to get to. They're all, let's say that there's 1, 2, and then 3 just around the side, so it's not right underneath, which is quite good. And you've got a 30mm nut on there as well, which you got a little live positive tag that comes out the loom, which is really stiff, so you need to take that off before you can get the starter motor out any further. So 30mm on there, lift that tab off there, and I'm just going to put on a pair of gloves because it's a bit shitty down there. But yeah, I'm going to pull it out in a minute. I'll see what other connections are on there. Right, so I lifted the starter motor out, and you've got 2 cables on there. So one's the permanent live, and then you've got like a switch live, I guess, to the solenoid, and that looks to me about an 8mm on there. So once the 8mm is undone, then that starter motor should come out. I'll clean it down, degrease it, and then we're going to strip it down the solenoid and hopefully do the upgrade on the solenoid to stop the clicking noise and make sure the starter works properly. I'll come back to you in a bit. Right, so we've got the starter off the Freelander, and we've got 3 8mm bolts that need to take off the back plate of the solenoid. So I'll just take them off of the ratchet. I'll come back to you in a minute. And inside, we pulled the plunger out. We've got a spring on the bottom there, and so there's the copper ring, which is the contact. So basically, that you've got the battery live there, goes to that, and then as the trigger pin or the switch line, I'll take that away because you can't focus on that. So that little one there, as that energizes, it'll pull that plunger down, and you can see it's very corroded. So we could probably get away with just cleaning it up, and also on that surface there of the ring of the copper. So you can see the 2 sides of it is, sorry, there goes to the live coming in. When this copper plunge gets sucked down, it will then energize this live side of the starter motor. So we'll clean this up anyway. We'll see if we can fix it. Right, and there's the repair kit. That's a new plunger. It seems slightly thicker, the copper, unless the other one's worn down, and a slightly bigger surface area. If I put the 2 side by side, it does look a bit thinner, that, and so it's optical illusion, but the surface area, oh, surface area just seems a little bit bigger. But say it's got like a little lip there, maybe it's optical illusion. But in that kit you get new washers, like insulation washers, in there as well. You get 2 new copper tangs, locking washer, and there's an O-ring there. And the company I got it from is Repair Kits UK. Number there if anyone else needs it. I'm not sponsored by them in any way at all, but if it works, then pass on the good news to someone else. Right, I'm going to install that. We need to obviously unbolt the tangs, which is there and in there, so that nut's got to come off, replace a new one in there, and to say the feed to the starter, unbolt that, replace that there. I think they're 13mm. I'll let you know what they are anyway. I need 2 hands. Sorry, I got a stand, but just trying to knock this video out quick so I can get it done. Back in the car. Right, as you can see, I've taken that tang, if you want to call it that, out of the left hand side, and you can see where that's worn down. That's the new one, and that's the old one, and I doubt very much if it was designed to fit in there, because if there's any movement at all, it would just catch on that top bit and arc. It's not focusing. Yeah, look at that wear on there. Look how thin that is on there. I would say that's where it's been arcing. If you can look there at the copper, you can see where it's been melting, almost trying to weld itself together. And you can see on that, that is where that lip has set in the plunger there. And this was from what I call it the left hand side of there. So you've got this plastic or Bakelite insulator which pushes through the hole on the solenoid. I've kept the old one in there. It's probably a better quality, hopefully, than the new one. They're probably both about the same. Looks like there's a little bit of plumber's mate, or looks like blue tack, or some kind of paste around there, probably to keep the water out from going inside. You can probably use like a mastic or something like that, or silicone. And then you've got the O-ring as well, which is there, which pushes over the thread of the copper bolt that goes through from the inside. So you've got the wire there, which is there, so the bolt goes through there, and then the copper tang, that's what I'm calling it, goes then on top of that, and then you have the plastic insulator which goes through. So obviously that'll be a live feed, and it'll be earthed on the casing, so you don't want that touching, like you would in the old points you use gun distributor. So that should be fully insulated, and then that will energize that. So I'll take the other side off then as well, and I'll show you that groove as well, see if that's walled down. Right, there's the two sides back in, reassembled. That right hand side one, right, you can see a little black mark on there. That was the existing and old copper contact tang there, and what I did, there was hardly any wear on that at all, and I sanded it down, and I decided to use that because it looked a little bit more heavier duty than the, we can find the one that come with the kit. The other side one was perfect. So well prepared here, can't you? Right, there's the one that come with the kit, and the one that was the original one just looked a little bit bigger out here more, so it was the same thickness. And also what I think was, because it was not worn at all, and this was the opposite side one, as you can see, I think what it was doing, the right hand side one was the original size, and it was stopping the plunger going all the way down. So because it wasn't making proper contact on that left hand side, which is here, I think that's why it was arcing more, and it was creating more of a problem, because obviously the plunger, I can give you a demonstration, instead of pulling down like that, it was catching on the right hand side, and obviously the plunger wouldn't twist, so it was catching, and this side it was arcing. So there's the new plunger, there's the assembly, and make sure the spring's in there in the center, and that'll go in, and that's how it should work. So I'm just going to assemble it now. I've got the lovely task of getting it back in the car and getting that radiator fan unit back in. So just them screws, by the way, what was it, 15 mil, was it 14 mil? So 13 mil on the outside, 14 mil on the inside, and same on there as well. So just use the socket on there, and just connect them over. You're probably best to try it on the pair of jump leads before you put it back in the car. It's a lot of hassle if you get it wrong or something not quite right on it, so I will try that first, and then I'll get it back in the car. Right, start motors back in the car. As you can see there, there's a little 8mm nut there, which is holding the switch live there for the ignition, and you got a black cap there, which is the 30mm, which is the positive feed to the starter. And what I did when I took it off, well, I just done it now, I should have done it when I took it off, couldn't find it, but I got some nice big cable ties, and these two air conditioning pipes. If you've got air conditioning on there, what I've done is I've wrapped it around that metal bracket, and I just pulled them in a bit, because that was pushing the fan system onto the radiator. So just touched it there, hasn't damaged it at all, but I've now pulled them out of the way, so you should be able to get the radiator fan housing assembly in. Alright, you got that turbo pipe there for the intercooler, which should be able to get past that without taking it off. It'll be a pain to reconnect it, but I reckon it'll go in there now anyway. So I'm going to try and get that fan back in there. Right, got the fan unit back in, and a helpful little tip now. Unless you want to take off this oil cooler, it looks like, or power steering or gearbox cooler. Right, when you put this fan unit in, what you do, you got two tangs. Obviously, one is my favourite word in it, tangs. Right, one there, little tab sticking out, plastic tabs that hook into that. There's also one in the bottom as well. Now, when you put this assembly in, put it in with this side down, so it wants to be about 45 degrees. So you stick it in there, and this bottom tang right down the tab down the bottom has got to go past this hose here, this heater hose, radiator hose, and also underneath that cooler. If you don't, you won't get it in without snapping it, and I'm quite pleased myself I didn't. So as I say, put it in 45 degrees, put this, as you're looking at the car, the right hand side from the front goes in first, 45 degrees. Make sure that little plastic tab goes underneath that heater hose, and then underneath that oil cooler, and then it'll just slide in, and the other side will drop down. It's quite awkward. Make sure the bottom ones go in. It was good now I've cable tied them air conditioning pipes, kept them out of the way. As I say, you have to wiggle them about, get the back in, and just lift it up a little bit, hold it flat on the back, and it should just snap shut. And then say them little clips there will hold it in. So good, no breakages. Right, here's the test. I haven't put the airflow meter on there yet, connected that up, but the radiator's all in. Going to test the starter. First kick. So it's fired all right, but that might be because the airflow meter's not connected. Just try again. Perfect. Off. Lovely. So that's the problem. You see it quite a lot on the forums, that they're, say, intermittent starting, and on the research I did, that's what I found it to be. And as I say, the kit was about 29 quid, 30 quid off eBay. I gave you the seller if you want to go through them to do it. I could have cleaned it up, but judging by the wear on that one side, maybe because it was a smaller bit of copper in there, it took most of the load. And say, starter motor's got a very big load going through it, and you could see it was worn on one side. Once it starts wearing, the plunger's going to come down straight, and it's just going to arc across. The more it arcs, the more it eats away. So yep, that's fixed this perfect, and reading on the forums it's fixed others. But if you've got the same problem on the Land Rover Freelander, you've got intermittent start where you press the button, you don't need nothing, sometimes you use a little click, and you have to jab it about 5, 6, maybe 10 times to get it to start. That I reckon is the problem. As I say, on that one in the solenoid, you can see where it had eaten it away. That was the problem. So job fixed. Hopefully it'll help someone else. Bye for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe please if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you in the next video.